let me bring my Republicans and my Democrats, specifically my Republicans, to the front of the congregation. Let me bring my Republicans to the front of the congregation. I don't like what's going on. I hate the fact that we have to be subjected to and have these people in office that do not have our best interest at heart. Yes, I'm an equal accountability smoke giver. I do not just stand on one side of the aisle and have a conversation based off of how I feel about one thing. I got to have it in its entirety. And what I see happening across the board is there are people that are not doing the things that's in the best interest of their voters, the constituents, and the United States of America itself. And they are selling America, and they're using your tax dollars in order to do so. They are selling your country, and they are using your tax dollars in order to do so. Let me share with you what was being pushed through, or what was trying to be pushed through over in your legislative branches over the last couple of days.
A new House bill passed yesterday to provide additional funding to Israel, but it is unlikely to advance because the bill, backed by new House Speaker Mike Johnson, has major strings attached, including a requirement to cut funding from the IRS. It also does not provide any additional money for Ukraine, which President Biden and others view as essential. For more.
So here's the first question that you got to ask yourself. And a lot of people don't understand why I have to stop it in the middle of what it is that they're talking about, but I have to stop it because we got to mine this out. We're not going to skip over any steps. They want to give $14.5 billion over to aid for your military to aid in the Israel problem that they got, the conflict over there. Now remember this. Anton, why is this so important? Because this is our money. This is our tax dollars. The problem and the reason why Biden opposes it is for two reasons. Democrats oppose it for two reasons. A, this bill does not also include more money for Ukraine. According to your local news reporters, this bill does not also include money for Ukraine, and this is why Biden decided that he wanted to torpedo it. I'm going to hit the applause button because I'm being sarcastic right now. Also, they don't like the fact that they're going to cut spending within the IRS in order to send more money over for this Israel war and conflict. Now, here's my question. First and foremost, how did we started to get involved, and why are we at the forefront of funding and sending aid in the form of your tax dollars in order to make sure that other countries is taken care of when we are in conflict every single day in our own country? I don't understand. Have you went and seen Baltimore lately? It looked just like The Wire. The only difference is the technology that they're using. They're not using phones at the phone booth right now. They're using burners. Have you been to Chicago? Seen what's happening over there? Don't worry, we're going to get to Mayor Johnson in a second. Have you seen what's happening over in Oakland, San Francisco, Little Haiti, Houston, Atlanta, Texas, Phoenix, Seattle, Los Angeles, Detroit, Cleveland, New York, Kensington Avenue in Philadelphia, DC? Literally, look, y'all, I'm telling you, if I had the time to get away from, or before I go to the Patreon meetup tomorrow in DC, I would actually try to document and show y'all what's happening out there. Let me tell you something, bro. Over in DC, just steps away from the White House, they got Tent City. Steps away from the White House itself, they got Tent City. There are tents. I kid you not. Lines of tents, steps away from where the president lays and rests his chinny chin chin. And within this bill, they're making sure that they advocate for more aid for Ukraine. And again, this is your money. More aid for Ukraine. Borders is just absolutely open. Making sure that they continue to put more money into funding so that they can have more IRS agents. And then also on top of that, they're trying to get $14.5 billion over to this conflict over in Israel.
Let's go to Weijia Zhang at the White House for us. Weijia, good morning.
Tony, good morning to you and good morning to everybody. The White House says this bill would set a dangerous precedent of attaching partisan priorities to emergency aid. Several Democrats pointed to the proposed slash of $14 billion in IRS funding as a poison pill. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates that would increase the nation's deficit by $12.5 billion over the next 10 years because cutting IRS resources would result in bringing in less money during audits. House Speaker Mike.
So they're listen, think about what's happening. She basically just broke it down for you. She said that the reason that they don't want to cut it is because they're trying to allocate more money over into the federal government for IRS agents to then chase you down to make sure that you're paying your fair share. So they taking your money. They need to make sure that they shore up the money to try to find money. This is the way that the government invests. Think about it. Not in its citizens, but making sure that they get every dime up out of its citizens in order to ensure that they take the money and then fund it over for wars and conflicts that don't have nothing to do with the American people. Listen, when you break it down from a C student's perspective and you don't make it overly complicated and you're not, using all of these terms to make sure that you try to confuse people, let's just simplify it and tell it for what it is. Because remember, you guys are the ones that's going to be getting y'all pockets ran through. That's a fact. Everybody want to level up. You want to make an extra $250,000 a year. You finally became a bag chaser. Anton is trying to give you the sauce on how you can limit the amount of money that you have to pay over to the federal government. The government said, nah, we don't like what you're saying over there on the Millionaire Morning Show. We're going to tax you. So the government invests. This is the way that the government invests in order to make more money to shore up their deficits. They're investing in the IRS to come and chase you down to go and get more money so that they can send the money over into these social programs. Brandon Johnson is over there begging for more money for migrants, and they want to send money to Ukraine and Israel and all across the world in order to ensure that a lot of these other entities that we're going to deep dive into, that I'm very careful about using this platform in order to do so, but all of these other entities, including lobbyists and people that have their hand in these government pockets, continue to profit off of the things that's happening across the sea, over in other wars and stuff. We are ATMs. That's what we are. So when you pay your taxes and they don't actually represent your best interests, this is what happens. And this is why the voting process is so important. Is because if they're not representing where it is that you're, because think about this, y'all. Look, this is worse than union dues. Y'all complain about paying union dues, but you're paying union dues to the United States of America, and you don't even have a choice as to whether or not you can do so or not. No matter where you go, no matter where you work at, you are required to give money over to the federal government, and they going to get theirs first. When you look at your paycheck, and it says federal, FICA, state, all of that, that's you paying your dues. This is the mob, and the mob is Rome. And Rome said you're going to have to pay your fair share or you going to jail. Look, if you work hard and you don't pay your taxes, you going to jail, family. Because they need that money in order to get that over into baby girl with the bonnet that's having extra kids that need that Section 8 to make sure that she pay her rent on time. And the more money you make, the more money they want, and they're going to villainize you for it, and they're going to put on shirts that say, eat the rich. And you're going to vote them in, and they're going to get more IRS agents for you, and then they're going to come for you. Yes, they are. Let's continue.
House Speaker Mike Johnson insists that this was not a political move, saying that it's the easiest and largest pile of money that's sitting there for us to be able to pay for this immediate obligation. But the bill is dead on arrival in the Senate. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the Senate would work on its own emergency aid package that includes what President Biden wants: funding for Israel, Ukraine, humanitarian assistance, and Indo-Pacific countries like Taiwan. While President Biden says he would veto.
Now, why are we funding and sending money over to Indo-Pacific countries like Taiwan? I have a theory, but I can't substantiate it. But let me tell you what my opinion is. Did you know that Taiwan was at the forefront of the semiconductor chip war that we're having with China? It's a fact. Taiwan, think about it. A lot of y'all don't hear. You hear about Ukraine, you hear about Israel. You ain't know nothing about Taiwan. But if you start to follow the money, and the reason why this is called the Millionaire Morning Show is because we follow the money. We don't care about what you think. We following the money. Taiwan is at the forefront of the semiconductor chip war. Listen, the war is digital. The war is financial. The war is about technology. Taiwan is at the forefront of the semiconductor chip war that we are having with China and other countries. And this is one of the reasons why we want to spend your tax dollars to continue to shore up aid over in Taiwan. Let me rewind it for you because you might have missed it over there in the back. We just tried to skip over that and tried to add that as the last talking point. It's not just Ukraine. It's not just the Israel. It's not just humanitarian crisis. Man, Haiti been messed up for a long time. It's a lot of these places. Africa ain't never got their fair share. That's a fact, though. Africa don't even own its own land anymore. Africa is worse than Chicago in that they don't even own their own streets anymore. Let me play it again for you, just so you don't think I'm saying something.
Ukraine, humanitarian assistance, and Indo-Pacific countries like Taiwan. While President Biden says he would veto an Israel-only bill, the White House has not said if it has to be all of his security priorities or nothing.
Security priorities. Why is that a security? Ask yourself. Listen, these are key terms because words mean things. Why is that a security priority? Let me bring it to you from a different perspective. Maybe they can give us some additional insight.
Some breaking news to tell you about on Capitol Hill. A short time ago, the House passed a Republican-led bill to give Israel more than $14 billion in aid. The vote was mostly along party lines, championed by Louisiana Republican and new House Speaker Mike Johnson. It sets up a clash in the Senate where Democrats say they prefer an aid package that also includes money for Ukraine. NBC News senior national political reporter Sahil Kapoor has more. Hey, Sahil.
The House voted 226 to 196 this evening to pass a major bill that grants $14.3 billion in aid to Israel. It was Speaker Mike Johnson's first legislative test. And
Wait a minute. Hold on 1 second. I know we mining out the information in order to get back to the money, but it's too many S's in your S, big dog. It's a lot of lisps and a lot of S's, and those T's are incredibly exaggerated. I'm just saying. I'm just using my context clues. It's a lot of S's and them S's. Them S's is carrying, ain't they? When somebody, they bring them S's over into the S's, you be like, Jesus, how many S's is on the end of that word? Y'all not catching it. Don't worry about it. We're going to get there.
he managed to keep, for the most part, his conference together, losing the votes of just 2 Republicans and gaining 12 Democrats for a bill that is dead on arrival in the Senate and has drawn vociferous objections from the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, as well as a veto threat from President Joe Biden, who objected to $14.3 billion in cuts to IRS funding from the president's signature achievement, which the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan scorekeeper, said would grow the deficit by lowering tax collections. There's a veto threat by the president, but the bill is not getting to his desk because Senator Chuck Schumer has made clear that the chamber is not even going to consider it. Let's play what Schumer.
Dog, them S's is S'ing, ain't they? Jesus Christ. Let's hear what Chuck Schumer got. Let's hear what Chuck Schumer got to say. I don't want to make any assumptions, so I'm just saying, but the S's is S'ing. You know what I'm saying?
I had to say.
The Senate will not take up the House's GOP's deeply flawed proposal and instead will work on our own bipartisan emergency aid package that includes aid to Israel, Ukraine, competition with the Chinese government, and humanitarian aid for Gaza.
See, they don't want to say it and they don't want to add all of the context. Competition for humanitarian aid and competition with China. Competition for humanitarian aid and competition. Listen, let me play it back for you. I didn't even know he was going to say that. I haven't even seen this clip yet.
It still mystifies that includes aid to Israel, Ukraine, competition with the Chinese government, and humanitarian aid for Gaza.
Competition with the Chinese government and humanitarian aid for Gaza. Competition with the Chinese government. Why they won't just tell y'all exactly what's going on, y'all? Dog. If we can't put this together and see, if we can see it, because again, and this is one of the reasons why you want to use multiple different sources and then compare and contrast, because you'll actually see what the play is if you start to put it together. I know we slow, but we ain't that slow, right? We know where the money going. They told me that I wasn't necessarily good in social studies, but I was definitely good in math. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm saying, hey, y'all can't, man, you're not gonna slip this by me. And this is how they do y'all. They distract y'all with the things that they think is meaningful to you. And then they push through all of the things that actually is best for them. Dude, don't you know that these bills, a lot of times y'all don't read these bills and y'all say y'all don't have time for it, but this is your money. So why wouldn't you read it, right? If you look at these bills, if you look at the Build Back Better plan and the great new infrastructure deal and the CHIPS Act, baked down in those bills, and I read them, I skim through them. I took a speed reading class. It's very much helped me throughout my life. And if you read it, if you go through it, it has several different things in there that actually tell you and paint you a better story. And that's the thing that these legislative branches are actually fighting about. They're not fighting about whether or not they agree with the bill or not. They're fighting to figure out where it is that they can get they cut inside of there for the things that mean the most to them and whoever it is that's funding them and lobbying for them. And so if you start to listen and you start to put it together and you're paying attention to the context clues and you listen to what one platform says and then what the other platform says, it will then help you to make a better decision as to who it is that you should be lobbying, advocating, and voting for, because they may not necessarily have your best interest at heart because they pushing stuff through there that ain't even got nothing to do with you. How is it a humanitarian crisis when it's literally just a competition with another country? Y'all better wake up. See, they think that being woke up has everything to do with being black. Being woke got everything to know where the money going. Let me tell you something. Being woke is knowing where the money is going. Has nothing to do with black, white. This is a class war. It's a class war, fam. Even if you want to talk about the gender war, it's largely based off of the idea that if I can break up what it is that you stand for, I can then tie you over to the federal government, which will allow for me to do what I want to do from a financial front. And so it always comes back down to the money, even if you think it's something different. You don't think that they know that over there in their backyard they got 10 cities? You think that we the only ones that's paying attention to it? You don't know what's going on? Don't worry about it.